In a quiet neighborhood of a busy city, lived a woman named Lisa. She was kind, hardworking, and loved by many people around her. Lisa had grown up in the community and cared deeply about the place she called home. Every day she worked at a small local library where she helped children and adults find books and learn new things. She believed that everyone deserved respect, fairness, and kindness. One warm afternoon, Lisa decided to take a walk in the nearby park. It was one of her favorite places to relax and think. The park was usually clean and full of families, joggers, and people enjoying the fresh air. But on this particular day, something caught Lisa's attention. A police officer was standing near a bench, and right next to him, there was trash on the ground. It was surprising because the park had rules that no one should litter, and the police officers were supposed to set an example for the community. Lisa noticed that the officer was not just standing there. He had thrown a few wrappers and empty bottles on the grass and seemed to be ignoring the mess. She felt a small anger inside her because she knew how hard the city worked to keep the park clean. Without thinking too much, Lisa walked up to the officer. She smiled gently and said, "Excuse me, sir, but could you please pick up the trash? It's important to keep the park clean for everyone." The officer looked at her with a cold expression. He didn't smile back. Instead, he frowned and replied, "Mind your own business." His voice was sharp, and Lisa could sense a kind of anger in his tone. She was shocked but tried not to show it. Lisa believed in kindness and calm words even when others were rude. So she stayed calm and said, "I'm just trying to help. We all need to take care of our community." But the officer did not listen. Instead, he became more hostile. His eyes were hard, and he started to speak in a way that made Lisa uncomfortable. She noticed that he was treating her differently than he might treat others. Lisa was a black woman, and in that moment she felt the weight of unfairness in the officer's behavior. She had heard stories before about people being treated unfairly because of the color of their skin, but now she was experiencing it herself. Suddenly, the officer reached for his belt and pulled out his gun. Lisa's heart beat faster, but she did not panic. She knew that showing fear might make the situation worse. Instead, she took a deep breath and spoke in a calm but firm voice. "I'm not here to cause trouble. I just want you to do the right thing." Her eyes were steady and her words were clear. The officer held the gun for a moment but did not point it directly at her. Still, the message was clear. He wanted her to back down. Lisa could have turned and run, but she decided to stay. She wanted to stand up for herself and for everyone who might face the same treatment. Her courage was quiet, but strong. After a few tense moments, the officer slowly put the gun away. Lisa saw that other people in the park were watching, some with concern, some with surprise. No one spoke out loud, but the silence was loud enough. Lisa decided it was time to leave before the situation got worse. She walked away, but her mind was full of questions. Why did the officer treat her that way? Why did he pull a gun on her when she was only asking him to pick up trash? Lisa knew that this moment was not just about one park or one day. It was about something much bigger: fairness, respect, and justice. She wanted to make sure that what happened to her would not be forgotten or ignored. As she walked home, she thought about what she could do next. She knew she had to be brave and speak up, not just for herself, but for her community. That evening, Lisa sat with her close friend Maria and told her everything. Maria listened carefully, her eyes full of sympathy. "You did the right thing," she said. "You stayed calm and strong. But we need to do more than just talk about it. We need to make sure people know what happened." Together, Lisa and Maria decided to take a video of the park and the officer's behavior. They wanted to have proof, just in case anyone tried to deny the story. Lisa was nervous about recording, but she felt it was important. She wanted to show the truth, no matter how hard it might be. The next day, Lisa returned to the park with her phone. She filmed the clean paths, the families enjoying the sunshine, and the bench where the officer had left the trash. It was a simple act, but for Lisa it was a way to stand up and say, "This matters." When Lisa shared the video with her friends and on social media, the response was powerful. People began to talk about what had happened and how important it was to treat everyone with respect. Some shared their own stories of unfair treatment. Others offered words of support and encouragement. Lisa felt both hopeful and worried. She knew that standing up against injustice was not easy. She also understood that her story was part of a bigger conversation about how people in her city and across the country were treated by those who were supposed to protect them. The local news picked up the story, and soon, Lisa was invited to speak about her experience. She told her story clearly and honestly without anger or hate. She talked about the importance of kindness and fairness, and how everyone deserved to be treated with dignity. Lisa's courage inspired many people. Her message was simple but powerful. Everyone has the right to be heard, and no one should be afraid to speak up when something is wrong. Even though the incident was frightening and unfair, Lisa refused to let it define her. Instead, she chose to use her voice to make a difference. She wanted her community to be a place where people respected each other, no matter their skin color or background. As days passed, Lisa continued her work at the library and stayed involved in community efforts to improve safety and fairness in the neighborhood. She attended meetings, shared her story, and helped organize events to bring people together. Lisa's story became a reminder to many that courage can come in quiet moments, like standing firm when faced with fear, or asking for respect when it seems missing. The park remained a place for families and friends, but now it also held a new meaning for Lisa and those who knew her story. It was a place where change had begun, sparked by one woman's courage to speak up. And though the officer had tried to scare her, Lisa's spirit was stronger than any fear. Her determination showed that standing for what is right can create hope for a better future. After the frightening day at the park, Lisa knew she couldn't just forget what happened. Even though she tried to stay calm and hopeful, the incident with the police officer stayed in her mind like a heavy cloud. It was hard to believe that someone who was supposed to protect people could act so unfairly. Lisa was determined to do something about it, not only for herself but for others who might face the same treatment. Lisa's first step was to talk to her close friends and family. She wanted to make sure they knew what happened and could support her. Maria, her best friend, was by her side every step of the way. "We have to tell the truth," Maria said firmly. "If we stay silent, nothing will change." With Maria's help, Lisa made copies of the video she had recorded at the park and shared it with people she trusted. She also reached out to a local lawyer who worked with people who had problems with the police. The lawyer listened carefully to Lisa's story and told her that what happened was serious. "You have the right to speak up," he said, "and we will help you make sure your voice is heard." Lisa felt a little more hopeful after talking to the lawyer. She realized she was not alone. There were people who wanted to help and believed that justice was important. At the same time, word about the incident began to spread through the neighborhood and beyond. Many people were shocked and upset when they heard about the police officer's behavior. Some remembered other times when they or someone they knew had been treated unfairly. For many, Lisa's story was a painful reminder of a problem that needed to be fixed. The local community started to come together. People talked at meetings, shared their experiences, and supported each other. They wanted to make sure that everyone felt safe and respected. Lisa attended these meetings and spoke about her experience. She did not want to scare anyone, but she wanted people to understand why change was needed. At the same time, the news media caught the story. Reporters came to Lisa's neighborhood and asked her to share what happened on camera. Lisa was nervous, but brave. She spoke slowly and clearly, telling her story without anger or blame. She wanted to reach as many people as possible so that the message about fairness and respect could spread. The story also reached the local police department. At first, the police gave a short statement saying that the officer had done nothing wrong. They said that the officer was just doing his job and that there was no evidence of bad behavior. This upset many people, including Lisa. She felt like her experience was being ignored or made small. But the community did not stop there. Supporters started calling the police department and city officials, asking for a full investigation. Local leaders spoke out, saying that every person deserved to be treated with respect, especially by those who wear the uniform. The pressure grew. and soon the police department agreed to open an internal investigation. This meant they would look carefully at what happened and decide if the officer had acted wrongly. Lisa felt a mix of relief and worry. She hoped the truth would come out, but she also feared the process might be long and difficult. While the investigation was going on, Lisa faced new challenges. Some people in the neighborhood did not agree with her speaking out. She received unkind messages on social media and heard rumors that tried to make her look bad. At times, it felt lonely and exhausting. But Lisa was not alone. Her friends, family, and many others stood with her. They sent messages of support, joined peaceful gatherings, and helped raise awareness about her story. The community's kindness gave Lisa strength on the hardest days. During this time, Lisa also started to learn more about how the police department worked and what rights people had when dealing with officers. She joined workshops and talked to experts who taught her about peaceful ways to handle difficult situations. Lisa wanted to use her experience to help others understand their rights and feel confident to speak up. One day, Lisa received a call from the lawyer she had spoken to earlier. The news was important. The investigation had found witnesses who supported Lisa's story. Some even had videos or pictures from the day that showed the officer's behavior clearly. This was a turning point. The truth was being seen, and it could no longer be ignored. At the same time, Lisa saw that many people in the city were talking about fairness and respect in law enforcement. Schools, churches, and community centers held discussions and workshops about how to build better relationships between police and the people they serve. Lisa felt proud that her story was part of this growing movement. She knew there was still a long way to go, but the conversation was changing. While waiting for the final results of the investigation, Lisa continued to share her story at events and with the media. She always spoke with kindness and hope, reminding people that change is possible when we stand together. The experience had changed Lisa too. She became more confident and passionate about justice and fairness. She believed that even one person's voice could make a difference. Her community began to see her not just as a woman who faced a difficult moment, but as a leader and a symbol of courage. People looked to her for advice and inspiration. Lisa took this role seriously and worked hard to help others find their strength. The police department eventually made a decision. The officer involved was disciplined, and the city promised to review its training programs to prevent incidents like this from happening again. While some people wanted more, many saw this as a step forward. Lisa understood that one victory did not solve all problems, but it was a sign of hope. It showed that when people speak up and stand together, change is possible. Looking back, Lisa realized that the day in the park had been scary, but it had also started something important. It had brought her community closer and reminded everyone that respect and fairness are rights, not privileges. Lisa's story was now more than just about one moment. It was about standing up, speaking out, and believing in a better future. And even though the road ahead might still have challenges, Lisa was ready to walk it, not just for herself, but for everyone who deserved to be treated with kindness and dignity. Lisa knew that what she had done so far was important, but the real challenge was just beginning. After the community's support and the police investigation had started, there was one key moment that would change everything. This moment came with a single phone call. One call that set a chain of events into motion, leading toward justice and change. After weeks of waiting and talking with friends and supporters, Lisa decided to contact a special organization that helped people facing unfair treatment. This group worked to protect civil rights and make sure everyone was treated equally. Lisa had heard about them from her lawyer and from other community members who believed in standing up against injustice. The day she made the call, Lisa felt nervous but determined. She explained her story clearly and calmly, just as she had before. The person on the other end listened carefully and promised to help. This call was not just a simple conversation. It was a turning point. It meant that Lisa's case would be taken seriously by people who had the power to investigate more deeply and demand answers. Soon after the call, Lisa began to notice changes. More people came forward to support her, including some police officers. who believed in fairness and wanted to see the truth. Some officers quietly told her that they were uncomfortable with how things had been handled and wanted the department to do better. At the same time, Lisa's courage inspired others in the community to speak out about their own experiences. The movement grew stronger, and more people joined peaceful gatherings to call for respect and fairness in their city. These gatherings were full of hope and kindness. People shared stories, sang songs, and listened to one another. It was a reminder that when a community comes together, real change can happen. Lisa faced new challenges during this time too. Not everyone agreed with her or supported her. Some people tried to spread false stories or blame her for causing trouble. Lisa stayed focused, remembering why she started this journey. She knew that standing up for what was right was never easy, but it was worth it. Her family and friends kept encouraging her. Maria was always there, reminding Lisa that she was strong and brave. "You're not just fighting for yourself," Maria said. "You're fighting for all of us." As the investigation continued, Lisa met with leaders from the special organization she had called. They helped her understand how to speak to the media and how to prepare for meetings with city officials. Lisa learned how to use her voice in new ways, not just to tell her story, but to help others understand why fairness mattered so much. One day, Lisa received important news from the organization. They had uncovered new information that could help her case. Some witnesses had come forward with statements that supported Lisa's version of events. There was even more video footage from bystanders that showed the police officers' behavior clearly. This evidence was powerful and hard to ignore. Lisa felt a mix of relief and hope. The truth was finally coming to light. She realized that the call she had made had started something much bigger than she had imagined. Meanwhile, Lisa's story was inspiring other communities nearby. People from different neighborhoods began organizing their own meetings and events to talk about fairness and respect. Lisa was invited to speak at some of these events where she shared her experience and encouraged others to stand up peacefully. Lisa's message was always the same: kindness and courage can change the world. She believed that no matter how difficult the fight, standing together and speaking honestly was the best way to create a better future. Back in her city, the police department felt the pressure. The investigation grew more serious, and the officers in charge had to answer tough questions. Some officers tried to defend the racist cop, but others admitted that mistakes had been made. The department promised to work on improving training and communication with the community. Lisa was invited to meetings with city leaders and police officials. She spoke clearly and calmly, explaining how the incident had affected her and the community. She asked for stronger policies to prevent discrimination and for better ways to hold officers accountable. The meetings were not always easy. Sometimes, people disagreed and sometimes progress felt slow. But Lisa stayed patient and hopeful. She knew that real change took time. Outside of official meetings, Lisa continued her work in the community. She helped organize workshops where people could learn about their rights and how to safely handle encounters with police officers. These workshops were full of energy and positivity. People shared ideas and learned from each other. Lisa also worked with local schools to teach young people about respect, fairness, and how to be good neighbors. She believed that change started with education and understanding. Through all this, Lisa's life was changing. She found a new purpose: helping others find their voice and stand up for justice. Her experience at the park had been difficult, but it had also opened doors to new opportunities and friendships. Even though the road was long, Lisa felt proud of how far she had come. She had turned fear into strength and had helped start a movement for fairness and respect in her city. As the investigation moved closer to a conclusion, Lisa stayed ready. She knew that the decisions made would affect many people, not just her, but everyone who believed in justice. Lisa's story was no longer just about one woman and one incident. It was about a community coming together, about courage in the face of fear, and about the power of one phone call to start a journey toward hope and change. The investigation had taken some time, but finally the truth began to come out clearly. Lisa waited nervously, but with hope. The special organization she had contacted, the lawyers, and the city officials had worked hard to gather all the facts. They had looked at videos, spoken to witnesses, and reviewed all the details of the day at the park. One morning, Lisa received a call that changed everything. The officer who had pulled the gun and acted unfairly was going to face serious consequences. The evidence was strong, and the city could no longer ignore what had happened. The officer was officially suspended from duty while the investigation continued. This was a big step. For many people in the community, it was a sign that the system was starting to take responsibility. Lisa felt a mix of emotions. She was relieved that the officer was being held accountable, but she also felt sadness. No one likes to see someone lose their job, but she knew that justice meant fairness for everyone, including those who had been hurt. The local news reported the decision quickly. Lisa gave interviews to reporters, speaking honestly about her feelings and her hopes for the future. She thanked the community for their support and reminded everyone that this was just one step toward making things better. Lisa also spoke about the importance of peaceful action and understanding. She said, "We want change, but it must come from respect and kindness. We want a community where everyone feels safe and valued." Around this time, many people in the city started to talk about how to prevent incidents like this from happening again. City leaders, police officials, and community members held meetings and forums to discuss new ideas. One important idea was to improve police training. Officers would learn more about how to treat people fairly and how to avoid misunderstandings. The city also promised to increase the use of body cameras to make sure that actions on duty could be reviewed clearly. Lisa was invited to take part in these discussions. She shared her experience and listened carefully to others' ideas. She believed that by working together, the community and the police could build trust and respect. The community also organized peaceful demonstrations and events to raise awareness. People carried signs about fairness and justice, but the mood was calm and hopeful. Lisa spoke at some of these events, encouraging people to keep working for change. She talked about how important it was to listen to one another and to remember that everyone deserves dignity. Lisa said, "When we stand together, we are stronger. Change happens when we believe in each other." At the same time, the city worked on making new policies. They created better ways for people to report unfair treatment and made sure that complaints would be taken seriously and handled quickly. The police department also began working with community groups to improve communication. Officers started visiting schools, attending community events, and meeting with residents in friendly ways. These efforts helped to reduce fear and build relationships. Lisa saw how her story had helped bring about real changes. It was not easy, and there were still problems to solve, but the path was clearer now. For Lisa, personally, the experience brought growth and new opportunities. She was invited to speak at conferences and community centers about her journey. She talked about courage, hope, and the power of standing up for what is right. Lisa also began working with local organizations that supported victims of unfair treatment. She helped organize workshops where people could learn how to protect their rights and how to find help when they needed it. Her work made a difference. People told her that her story gave them courage to speak up and to believe that they could make a difference too. Even her family noticed how much she had changed. Lisa was more confident and passionate. She felt proud of what she had done and hopeful about the future. Though the officer faced consequences, Lisa chose not to focus on anger or revenge. Instead, she focused on healing. Healing for herself, her community, and even for the police officers who wanted to do better. She believed that forgiveness and understanding were important parts of real change. Lisa said, "We have to move forward together with respect and kindness." As time passed, Lisa continued her work in the community, but she also took time for herself. She spent more moments in the park she loved, walking peacefully and remembering how far she had come. The park was still a place of hope and strength for Lisa, a reminder that even in difficult times, courage and kindness could bring light. Her story became an example for others, showing that fairness and justice were possible when people stood together. Lisa knew the journey was not over, but she was ready to keep walking it, inspiring others along the way. With the officer facing consequences and new policies starting to take shape, Lisa felt a deep sense of relief and hope. Yet she knew that true change went beyond just one case or one city. It was about building a future where everyone, no matter their background or skin color, could live without fear and with respect. Lisa's journey had inspired many, and she wanted to keep that momentum going. She began to travel to nearby cities and towns to share her story. At community centers, schools, and events, she spoke about courage, fairness, and the importance of standing up peacefully for justice. Her message was clear. Change starts with one voice but grows when many join together. In these places, Lisa met people who had faced their own challenges with unfair treatment. Some had similar experiences with law enforcement, while others struggled with different kinds of prejudice. Lisa listened to their stories, offering support and encouragement. She reminded them that speaking out was a powerful step toward healing and justice. Lisa also became involved with a larger organization that worked nationwide to promote fair treatment and equality. Through this work, she helped to create educational programs and community projects designed to build understanding and respect across different groups. She worked with young people, teaching them about their rights and how to handle difficult situations calmly and safely. Lisa believed that educating the next generation was one of the best ways to create lasting change. She wanted children and teenagers to grow up in a world where kindness and fairness were normal. Back in her hometown, Lisa saw the effects of her efforts. The community was more united and stronger than before. People talked more openly about their experiences and worked together to support one another. The police department had started new programs to connect officers with residents, helping to build trust and respect. Lisa's role had changed too. She was no longer just a woman who had faced an unfair situation. She was a leader, an advocate, and a symbol of hope for many. But Lisa stayed humble and grounded. She always remembered the moment that started her journey, the difficult day, at the park, and the people who had supported her along the way. Lisa knew there was still work to do. Racism and unfair treatment did not disappear overnight, but she believed that by speaking honestly, listening to each other, and standing together, communities could make progress. She also believed in the power of forgiveness and understanding. Lisa often spoke about the importance of seeing others as human beings, even when their actions were hurtful. She said that true healing came when people could find a way to move forward with kindness in their hearts. Through her work, Lisa met people from all walks of life: police officers who wanted to improve, community leaders who cared deeply, and everyday citizens who wanted fairness. Together, they found ways to create programs, hold discussions, and build relationships. Lisa's story had sparked a movement, not just in her city but beyond. It reminded everyone that no matter how hard things seem, courage and hope can light the way. On a quiet afternoon, Lisa returned to the park where her journey had begun. The sun was shining softly, and children were playing nearby. She walked slowly along the paths she had once feared to take. Now, the park felt like a place of peace and strength. As she sat on a bench, Lisa thought about the journey she had traveled, from fear and pain to courage and hope. She knew there would be challenges ahead, but she was ready. Lisa smiled, feeling grateful for the support she had received and proud of the change she had helped to bring. She understood that one call, one voice, and one community coming together could make a difference that lasts. Her story was a reminder that everyone deserves respect, fairness, and kindness, and that when people stand together, they can create a better world for all.